is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome into another 3 Mall Pod. I'm Cole Manbeck, joined as always by Derek Young, publisher and editor of K-State Online over at On3. We are thrilled to be joined on the pod once again by K-State Athletics Director Gene Taylor today. And before we dive into questions with you, Gene, as always, we want to thank our partners at Holiday Distillery for their support. Great K-State folks who support us. So go to your local spot, pick up a bottle of Ben Holiday bottled in Bond Bourbon or 360 vodka, whatever suits your taste, as you stock up for another exciting K-State football season. We also want to tell you about some exciting news. Derek, John, and I launched a Patreon channel today, which means for just $5 a month, you'll get access to bonus 3 Mall content that includes extra shows, additional interviews, detailed write-ups, statistics, numbers, articles from us, and much more. I posted an article today on there. Actually, we launched it today. We dropped 2 podcasts today on our Patreon channel, including a breaking news pod regarding Jerome Tang and the K-State basketball staff landing another high-impact transfer guard in Quez Glover. We also have a detailed story up about Glover on our Patreon page. So go to patreon.com/3mall to sign up. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/3mall to sign up. We appreciate all of you who have already subscribed. Also, just want to make sure and make it clear, nothing's going to change here with what we're doing at KCSN and 3 Mall. In fact, we've got more content planned on 3 Mall than ever before as we head into football season. This is just bonus content in addition to everything we do here. Gene, this is your 5th time on the 3 Mall podcast, so you are our most esteemed guest. We'll get you a plaque or a certificate for being on here more than anybody else. So hey, we appreciate you jumping on. And the last time we spoke to you was at Football Media Days down in Dallas, and a lot has changed since then. A lot of the questions again were about the future state and potentially expansion. And since then, the Big 12 has added Colorado and the 4 corner schools. So maybe just take us through what the last few weeks have been like with all of that on the expansion front for you.
Yeah, it's thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Good to see you guys. We'll obviously see a lot of each other the next several weeks, which is not a bad thing. Hopefully it'll be as much of a fun ride as it was last year. But, we're very crazy. Obviously, we knew about Colorado. We've been working on that one as a conference for a while, and it really, it stirred a little bit more conversation about who was next. And, as you know, Commissioner Yormark is a busy guy, and he's pretty, he's always focused and always working on what's next best for the conference. And so, we had talked about a lot of schools. We knew that, the Pac-12 was potentially, depending on what happened to them, we didn't think that necessarily Colorado was going to, create what happened. We weren't sure. We thought there might be a possibility. We thought if we could, talk to another Pac-12 school that might, send that kind of reaction. And we weren't getting a lot, apparently, according to Brett, we weren't getting a lot of love. I mean, it was just kind of, cursory conversations. And again, I wasn't in on them. It was just more updates. Obviously, the president's voted Colorado in. And then, everybody was waiting to see what that Pac-12 media deal was going to look like. And I think all the other Pac-12 remaining schools other than Colorado were wanting to see that. That was really the driving force. And then apparently when it came out and there was some uncomfortableness with what was presented to them as a conference is when things started to really move and you started to hear rumors and, you heard about Oregon and Washington, they're going to the Big Ten, and then you heard that they were out, and then you heard about Arizona and Utah and Arizona State possibly talking to us, and then Arizona was in and the other schools weren't, and then all of a sudden, Arizona's out, and the Pac-12 is sticking together, and then 24 hours later, Oregon and Washington are going to the Big Ten, and we were talking to Arizona. It was that literally within a 24-hour period. That's the movement that took place, and we were just getting updates. Commissioner Yormark was doing the majority of the conversations with whether it's presidents or ADs, and it was a pretty crazy scenario. It's unfortunate in a little bit of ways that the Pac-12 is where they are. That you have a major conference that may not be able to stay together or look very differently than what they did less than 6 months ago. So, but it's a crazy world in which we live in right now.
Yeah, I mean, from a fit perspective, how excited are you to add programs like Utah, the Arizona schools, Colorado, the geographic footprints, the TV markets, TV sets they bring to the Big 12, and then obviously from a competitive standpoint, the value they bring?
Yeah, no question. I think you bring another group of schools that have success in different sports, and a school like Utah, obviously from a football perspective, comes to mind. You have the BYU-Utah rivalry that would excite everybody. You have an Arizona basketball program that, coming into Bramlage is going to bring a lot of excitement, and this is just some of the matchups in this conference that already are a tough matchup. I'm sure coaches are looking at it going, man, what are we doing? From a conference perspective, I think it does bring a lot of energy and excitement. And again, viewing areas now in a different time zone in terms of the Western time zone, in terms of the mountains. And, we don't get so Pacific, but those schools are in basically the same time zone. So, all that's good. And then again, for our fan base, you're going to see some new schools coming in, and that's always exciting. But being an Arizona State alum, I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I forgot about that. I guess, is there another shoe that you anticipate dropping in the near future on the conference realignment front? It's always about what's next because athletics doesn't stay static.
Derek, it's a great question. And, I would have told you, I think last, 2 years ago when obviously Texas and Oklahoma left, we knew it wasn't going to be the end of it. Right now, I won't say that it's never going to happen. There's a lot of rumblings out of the ACC. Florida State's been very vocal about, kind of where they are, what they want to do, and some of the other schools. How that will unfold over the next several months, I'm not sure. But, I do think those 4 remaining Pac-12 schools are going to have to do something, whether it's you join the Mountain West or the Pac-12. The Pac-12 incorporates the Mountain West schools, and then how is that are they going to be a Mountain West? They're going to be a Pac-12. But I think those 4 schools are going to have to do something and land somewhere. It just seems logical to me to be in the Mountain West, but I don't know that. But in terms of was the ACC going to lose schools to the SEC or all that, I couldn't tell you. But I think you just have to hold on to your head. I will say that where we are now as a conference compared to where we were 2 years ago, we're in a heck of a lot better place than we were 2 years ago. There's no question about that.
Yeah, you have much more solid footing. The question that I was most eager to have answered, and my suspicion is you may not have had answered just yet, but you may have to alter your non-conference schedule moving forward as soon as next year with Colorado and Arizona now joining the Big 12.
Yeah.
Have you put any thought into that or what the plan might be?
Well, it's 100% a good question because we have Colorado home and home and Arizona home and home, which would have been great, the games in football. We are just now starting to having scheduling conversations. And matter of fact, I'm going to Dallas tomorrow, which is Wednesday. We have meetings Wednesday night and Thursday, and that's going to be one of the big topics is how does that 16-team league look like? What is it? I don't think we'll go back to divisional conversation. I don't know that. We haven't even gotten there yet. Could we indeed maybe keep Colorado and Arizona as non-conference at least one of those games? All of those are up for discussion. But, we already started working. In case that doesn't happen, we still need, a Power 5 non-conference. If for some reason we can't find a way to keep them as a non-conference, which I don't know that we can, but we need to find some teams. Well, now you think about the Washington schedule is probably going to change. The Oregon schedule is probably going to change. There's some other schools that are going to be affected by all this movement. So something might open up, but we're just kind of testing the waters right now. We'll probably know a lot more as to what direction we should be going as a conference with the 16-team schedule. And I happen to sit on the football scheduling committee. There'll be other ADs on the basketball, and all those conversations will be all going simultaneously. So that'll be interesting in the next few weeks to what we come up with, because we have to move pretty quickly because they're all coming in at 24 for sure.
What's crazy, Gene, is because it used to be these schedules were planned out 10, 12 years in advance. These games were scheduled so long ago, and now with COVID, and that you guys have had to learn to operate so quickly. And now, I guess it's good practice for this. And I think it was North Carolina and Wake Forest that did a ACC non-con matchup that they did a couple years ago. So that was interesting. Hey, so on the four corner schools joining, Gene, do you know, is ESPN and Fox, there's been mixed rumors out there, are they doing the pro rata to where everyone's getting the same revenue?
Yeah, those things actually we're still kind of talking through. That's a your mark discussion with those TV partners as to what financial arrangements are going to be. There was some early conversation that we could have up to 4 Power Fives that would be pro-rated up. I don't know if that's still going to be the case. So that's another probably topic of conversation we're going to have while we're in Dallas. That'll continue to see what that financial agreement looks like. I think that's really going to have to be a conversation that he sits down with the two TV partners, come and say, what are we looking at? And then once we figure out what that number is and we have to go from there, it'd be really nice if they all came in and they stepped up the money and we didn't have to take any sort of cut back in revenue. But I think those are a lot more detailed conversations that are still to come. And it really going to start with Commissioner Yormark and those TV partners.
All right, before we go to break, we got to talk to you about our friends at homefieldapparel.com. This last Saturday, they issued another drop of apparel. They issued a K-State, KU, and Missouri drop, 10 items of K-State gear. It's their second K-State drop in just the last couple of months. They now have 40 different K-State items on their website at homefieldapparel.com. Super comfortable fit. I've got 7 home field gear items in my closet currently, but I've actually got 4 more on the way from the latest drop from Home Field Apparel. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. One of my favorites that just dropped is actually, just like John, the purple lavender cat script, the old basketball logo with the cat script going through it. And then I also actually went back to one of their old drops, all the way back to one of their first drops, and bought one of the retro logo hoodies, gray hoodies. Look, these things are super comfortable. They're super soft. I love to get my hands on them, and I just had to get another hoodie here as we get ready for the fall and college football season. So get on out there, support our friends at homefieldapparel.com as they support us. Tons of K-State items that they have, and we actually have a discount code for you. If you go to homefieldapparel.com and you are a first-time purchaser, you can get 15% off your entire order with the code 3MAW23. Again, that's 3MAW23. You may have heard us say a couple weeks ago, there was an exclamation mark. There is no exclamation mark. I just want to clarify. It's just 3MAW23 on that discount code. Get 15% off your first K-State purchase at homefieldapparel.com. Super comfortable, super sleek, retro gear. That's their thing. Plus 100 other different colleges, 100 plus different colleges that they have gear for if that's your style. So get on out to homefieldapparel.com and purchase your gear. Stock up for what should be another exciting K-State football season.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
DY asked you about the football schedule. I'm also curious, Gene. I mean, this could even be this year with 14 teams in the league, but also looking ahead to 16. Are we going to perhaps see, the Big 12's nights have typically been what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. Do you foresee that the Big 12 starts playing maybe some on Thursday nights, on Sundays in the future state?
Yeah, again, it's all about inventory and where those partners need that inventory, right? It's the Pac-12, which I don't remember. I think they a lot of times played Fridays and nights, if I remember correctly. So I think that's going to be driven a lot by what our TV partners need and where they need that inventory placed. So I think when you look at this wide of a group of schools and basically where they are from Florida to Arizona, you probably have to be pretty creative with what that schedule looked like. And do we stay with 18 games in basketball as a conference? Do we go to 20? Do we have to play some in December? Obviously, what's the tournament going to look like? Are all 16 teams coming? Are you going to have, you start the tournament earlier? We've never really not let every team come to the conference tournament. Well, 14 are coming, this year. So I don't imagine we wouldn't have all 16 teams come, but that tournament format's going to look very different as well. So, a lot of moving parts that we have to get figured out here pretty quickly because, before I know it, it's going to be July 1st to 24, and we better have it all figured out by then.
Speaking on the basketball front, Jerome Tang and Kent State got that win today in their first game in Israel. I know it's only been a month since we last spoke to you when we covered it, but is there any movement on the contract talks with the head coach there?
Yeah, it's funny. There has been, and I think we're getting really, really close. It's the financial agreements are all worked out. The term is all worked out. There's just some uniqueness to what they want to do from an LLC potential. It gets a little tricky that we want to make sure we do it the right way. So I think we're all in agreement. It's just pounding out the final language. And the challenge is, Coach Tang's not made it a priority, so he's been focusing on the trip to Israel, which, by the way, it looks like they're having a phenomenal experience, and good for them. And then our attorney has been out of vacation a couple of times, different times. So it's just kind of typical summer. Things kind of slow down, but hopefully we'll get it worked out here in the next few weeks.
And also on the negotiation front that are still ongoing, so I'm sure there's a limited amount that you can provide. But an apparel deal with Nike, I think, ends in 2024. Right. Is there an update that you can provide on that front at all?
Not right now. We're still kind of working through the details and, talking to different partners and trying to figure out, what's the best deal. We need to figure it out pretty quickly because the order windows for, whoever we're working with, starting to happen for next year. So we got to get this thing figured out, but we're pretty close. Making a decision, just a lot goes into it. It's a big decision, and we want to make sure we make the right one, what's best for our program at the end of the day.
How much input do you get from your coaches, Gene? Do you go to Coach Tang? Obviously the shoe game in college basketball is such a big deal. Do you go and ask them, solicit their feedback for their thoughts and opinions when you're doing something like this?
Absolutely. We've talked to a majority of our coaches, particularly the two basketballs, volleyball, football, and baseball, and just getting their opinion, what they like, what they don't like, what the concerns are, and then obviously just our whole staff, whether from the licensing perspective, the branding perspective, the product quality. Our equipment staff had a big feedback on the partners that we've been talking to. So it's a collective effort and a collective feedback, and it's an important decision. We want to make sure we make the right one.
I asked you about the basketball schedule earlier, Gene, and future state of different nights playing. I know typically right around this time we usually see the basketball schedules released. Do you have a kind of a timetable of when you foresee the men's basketball, women's basketball schedules coming out?
Yeah, I believe I heard somewhere it's going to be sometime in early September.
Okay.
As I say that was going to be for the 14-team league, so it may take a little longer because this is for you're talking about this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's sometime in September. Yeah, is what they're telling us that we're going to be seeing a schedule, and I don't think late September. I think sometime in early September.
It was recent that President Linton kind of revealed his diagnosis, and I saw that he spoke to the football team. I think the same day that you were at practice. Just what kind of conversations have you had and seen him when he was around the football team?
He's been really positive, like he is. Obviously, it's a scary deal to find that out like he did. I think it floored him. I don't think that was anything he was expecting to hear. And so when he heard it, he let us all know in the cabinet first, and then I've had a couple individual conversations with him. And I think like anything like that, you go through a range of emotions, right? And I think now he's kind of on the, okay, I'm going to get after this and attack it and listen to my doctors, be very aggressive with whatever I need to do. And he's approaching it with the right attitude. I had a meeting with him, before he came over to practice the day before. I met with him on Monday. Or I guess after he was there Monday morning, and I met with him after that afternoon, and just had a great conversation about, his plans, and, he's still going to be the president. He's going to be, out a lot more, at least for the next 7 weeks. And we're just here to support him and doing everything we can to make sure he gets through this. And I think he's got a lot of energy and pretty excited about what he's done. He wants to make sure he's going to miss football, but he did say he's going to try to watch as much as he can. But I just really respect his approach, and we want to support him and his family as they go through the next several weeks of some tough stuff.
This time of year always seems like the energy's kind of building up. Football season's about here. The school resumes. I'm just kind of picking your brain here, a little outside the box question. Is football kind of your favorite sport and kind of what revs you up for the season?
Well, I think what makes it fun is, like you said, just the ramp up. The students come back on campus, and I just watched a little bit on Twitter what President Linton was saying. There is an exciting energy to the beginning of the season, right? And then there's a lot of just excitement about, everybody's 0-0, and you're, for us in particular, coming off a Big 12 championship, and you get a lot of returning players, and we're starting to see big numbers in our ticket sales in both football and basketball. To say it's my favorite, I love them all. I really do. I kind of grew up the son of a basketball coach, so I always kind of lean towards basketball. But there's nothing better than walking into the bill, it's sold out, and the energy in there. And now the energy that Coach Tang's brought, and obviously our women's basketball program. That's new volleyball venue. I think that could be rocking this year with that place, and anxious, if you haven't seen it, to see it in person. It's a beautiful facility. So, yeah, but I think football just kind of drives that energy on campus pretty early on because it's first thing out of the gate.
I think I saw today, Gene, season tickets for volleyball sold out. Is that right?
Yeah, we sold it out. We want to make sure we have some room for individual sales. It's general admission this year, and we've had some feedback on that. We wanted to see what the season was going to be like, and when you sell season tickets and people buy those main best seats, and sometimes they don't get filled, we want to make sure that it was a full arena. We may adjust that next year, but the Nebraska match, I think, is already sold out. And I think you got Jason and his new staff are going to, I think, put us in a pretty good position. So, again, a lot of energy off of that program, and we haven't even seen them play yet. I think that facility is a big part of that, but I think Jason being the new kid on the block is helping that as well.
Definitely excited to check it out, in addition to all the great facility work that you and your staff and all the great donors have done to put in. Hey, Gene, just a fun question here as we wrap, and I don't know if we've asked you this before, but what is the experience like to sit and watch a game with Gene Taylor? What are you like at a K-State football or basketball game?
I've seen it.
I've seen it from a distance, and I know you're a competitive guy. So what is it like?
It depends on how the games go, right? You just want to. That's why I will tell you. That's why I watch from the sidelines, because if I have to say bad words, the only people that hear are the other players, not the general fan. And I can get a little excited both on the positive side, a big play or big touchdown, or get a little frustrated if there's a mistake. But I probably need to do a better job at my age to control my emotions. But I can, I'm a little wound up at times. But
one of the moments I remember, I think it was caught on television, was the big hug that you had with Coach Kleiman following the win in Ames. So that one kind of stands out to me. One last question for me. Is this the furthest along that season tickets have been for basketball since you've been the AD at Kansas State?
Yeah, it's clearly the most we've sold this time of year, both in terms of numbers and dollars. And, I think that's another group of tickets that if you don't have them yet, you might want to get them soon because they're going fast. And again, if we can't miss that, I think our women's basketball team, they have a chance to be really good this year as well. So, I like I said, I hope we're talking about another great year, at the end of this year as well. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, Gene, I got 4 season tickets for basketball, so we'll be there packing the house for every game. So I can't wait. Hey, Gene. Yeah, hey, Gene. Appreciate it again. Appreciate you jumping on with us as always. And like I said, 5th time on the show, so you hold the record. We'll see if anybody can catch you, but always appreciate how gracious you are with your time and how transparent you are and open. So thank you, Gene. We appreciate you. Kansas State Athletic Director of the Year, Gene Taylor.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.